What happens when a land is truly tainted with the blood, sweat, and tears of tragedy? Tucked deep in Mechanicsville, Virginia, stands a quiet, unassuming structure, the cabin on Route 360. But this is no ordinary cabin. It's built atop blood-soaked battlegrounds where Civil War soldiers cried out in agony, where enslaved souls once suffered in silence, and where something still walks the grounds. From phantom screams to shadow figures, from EVPs to full-bodied apparitions, this place has it all. But now, this haunted hotspot, steeped in history, charged with supernatural energy, is under siege, not by spirits, but by the threat of bulldozers. Could this be the final chapter for one of Virginia's most paranormally active and historic sites? We hope not. Tonight, we're joined by investigator and caretaker Dennis Estlock, who's here to reveal the terrifying true stories behind the cabin on 360 and to explain why preserving this land may be more important now than ever before. That's next. First up, we do have a good friend of mine joining us about an exciting new project you're going to want to know all about. We'll do that here on the very best in paranormal programming. I'm Dave Schrader, and this is my Paranormal 60.
I'm not gonna stand here and listen to this baloney. You won't know. He doesn't stand for baloney.
Sounds like a lot of supernatural baloney to me. Supernatural, perhaps. Baloney, perhaps not.
Good evening, Darklings. Welcome to the program, and help me welcome to the Paranormal 60 some old friends. Actually, Bethany and I got to do a ghost hunt together when I first began my journey into paranormal programming here in Minnesota. We were investigating the soap factory.
Yes.
In downtown Minneapolis, and went with at the time, the Dave Ryan show.
Mm-hmm.
And by the Dave Ryan show, it meant everybody on his show but Dave Ryan. So you can imagine how depressed I was to think I'm going to be ghost hunting with a famous radio legend. And it turned out I was the only radio legend at that event. That's not true. The entire KDWB morning show crew was there with me, and we had a great time together. We had some spooky experiences, from screams in the dark to strange EVP calling out, of all people, Crisco.
Crisco. It said Crisco.
Right. And I love the fact that it not only said Crisco, as we were trying to communicate it, like the ghosts just stopped making noise after a little bit while we were in the soap factory. And I said, well, is there a spirit with one of us that would like to come forward? Who would you like to speak to? And this EVP, you hear it go, Crisco through the radio. And it wasn't like there was a cooking show on.
No.
I have no understanding, but it was so cool. Just
it was amazing.
Yeah, very weird stuff. So we've got my friend Bethany Watson and her partner in crime and filmmaker. I don't want to say former yet. I mean, let's let you guys fail epically.
We'll see how this goes.
15 minutes. It was like 5 minutes. Yeah.
I've watched the trailer. It was really, I was pulling for you guys. And but you know what? You got it out of your system. Now maybe Costco is hiring, I heard.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, we can do it.
You guys are filmmakers. You're amazing. You've got a brand new program that's available. Why don't you, I don't know, Bethany, Dennis, which one of you would like to introduce this, and then we'll show the trailer?
Sweet. Well, first of all, Dave, thank you for having us.
Yes.
We love you. We're such fans. So we made this show for ScreamBox.
Oh, you were done complimenting me. I'm sorry.
Yes, no, I've moved. So the compliments are over now. I rehearsed that part. And
sure.
now I'm going.
Sure. Oh, we're having connection issues, but it was nice to know.
So the show I wish was about Dave Schrader, but it couldn't be. So it is a 6-episode series about this documentarian named Tessa. who sort of gets into some awful trouble in New York and so escapes to this little mountain town in upstate New York called Lowry. And as soon as Tessa gets up there, they discover a box of tapes, some analog tapes in the basement, and they think they hear a murder on one of the tapes. And it is a series that we made for ScreamBox. If anyone's a fan of the Terrifier series, ScreamBox put them out. Terrifier is the reason we got to make this show. So it's all out now. All 6 episodes are out, and you can binge them as we speak.
Yes.
The Trouble with Tessa, correct? That's
Yes.
the name of the series?
Yes.
All right. Well, let's go to it. We're going to take a look at the trailer right now, and it's available. We have a link for this program on today's program guide as well.
It's crazy up here. There's no Wi-Fi. There's just landlines and a curfew. And apparently there's a list of rules that I'm supposed to read.
Lowry is a nice place. A nice quiet town where you don't even have to lock your door.
I'm done chasing this kind of thing.
I found tapes in the house, audio, video of a woman. What are you hiding?
My mom used to tell me there was a monster in the woods.
Welcome to Lowry.
Looks good, kids. You should be
Thank
proud of yourselves. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Yep.
Yeah, dude. It was a labor of love for sure.
I should talk to you guys because the follow-up should be the realization of Dave. Because so my son and I, sadly, my father passed away on the 4th of July, and we've been cleaning the house and going through things and looking through things. And my dad was a handyman. And so as I'm pulling out jeans, there's paint splatters all over his clothing because he's always working on stuff and staining the deck and this, that, the other.
Yeah.
And I kept looking at my son. I'm like, do we donate these blood splattered pants or do we? And he goes, it started off as a joke, but then as we're moving stuff around, we'd find the stupidest little knickknacks in the corner of his closet or in a drawer. And it, was just like, a thimble. Oh my God, was he keeping souvenirs? And then it got so bad. I'm like, I opened the bread drawer and there's a twist tie, and I'm like, this guy is sick. And
Sick.
What
a monster.
Yeah. So the realization of Dave should be the follow-up. I'm just throwing it out there.
I mean, Dennis, I know Dennis
I'm down.
is like
First episode's
in.
named Crisco.
Yes, it's called Crisco.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're never mentioned again. It's about Crisco.
Yeah.
The most famous of us all.
Yeah, it is. It's true. He's risen to stardom. And by stardom, I don't mean a big gassy ball of fire. I mean, he is truly good at what he does.
Yeah, dude.
Well, this is exciting. So you guys are doing this program. You've poured a lot of heart and soul into it. 6-episode arc. Is this a continuing series, or is this I almost said self-absorbed arc? Is this a self-contained, perhaps self-absorbed? I don't know. I haven't seen the last episode.
All of us entertainers are somewhat self-absorbed. No, I definitely have an idea of where Tessa's story would go. Continuing this, but it all depends on
if our
funds.
Yeah, I call them our benevolent overlords, our beloved bosses at ScreamBox. If they are happy and they would like to see where Tessa goes next, we are absolutely interested in hanging out with Tessa again.
Yeah.
Well,
we would love to
in getting you guys any financing, a love interest for Tessa, who goes by the roguish name of, I don't know, maybe Dave Schrader.
Oh, Pave Crater.
Yeah.
Dave Schrader.
Yep. Who
I've heard of this guy.
Yeah,
I heard he's an amazing
paranormal investigator, researcher, and radio show host.
Dude,
host to most.
That's right.
Yeah.
It is funny you say that. I know you're serious, but because we had
it's funny because I am serious.
we had such limited funds to make the show. I mean, this was really kind of like this was their first time doing original programming. And so we had to be really creative with the scares because we didn't have all this money to do these crazy things. So much of it is sound based. It's a lot of like listening and using your imagination, and Tessa's hearing things. So you being, the host of a show in which you speak into a microphone would be seamless.
Yes.
Seamless.
Absolutely seamless.
I'm just throwing it out there. And I've also authored the book Theater of the Mind. So just marinate on that.
And you have the most amazing voice.
The tones coming out of this
out of that voice.
I'm not investing, guys. I'm sorry. I don't
Did you hear me? The tones.
The tones.
Dulcet.
The tone.
We said the tones, Dave.
Do you now you've got the series, but if so, there's some people going, I'm not subscribing to yet another service, which is stupid, because if you like horror and you like suspense, ScreamBox is fantastic. But is there any other way to watch this besides peep shows in New York City?
Yes. Well, there's a peep show in New York City. No. So where you can get it on Amazon Prime, you can buy it there for $14.99.
Yep.
You can also do a 7-day trial of ScreamBox and binge the whole series, and then hopefully stay on the platform because they have some amazing programming on there. Really good if you like Italian horror. They got a lot of old Italian horror. They got new stuff. They've got a great program called Bloody Bites where you can discover new filmmakers. That's how we got our show. So you may be seeing the next filmmakers that they're going to adopt to make another show. And iTunes has it.
Yep.
You can get it on YouTube as well. If you have a YouTube subscription, I believe that you could just watch it if you have
and then you can rent it or buy it on YouTube.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you just want to watch it for free, you can get a 7-day trial, like Dennis said. And the episodes, by the way, are about 22 minutes each.
They're
so
shorties,
they're short, and the whole season is like a 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
So
I see a whole new genre for you guys. Shows to poop by.
That's right.
Every show is just a 22-minute quick in and out poop session. I'm
20 minutes is you okay, friend?
I'm 58. 28 minutes. 28 minutes is the stretch of it. 22 is kind of like right in my wheelhouse. So it's perfect.
Yeah, that makes sense. The older we get, the longer the episodes get.
Yeah, sometimes you just sit in there and think.
That's true.
It's
private time.
You just sit in there and you sort of ponder.
Yeah.
I've done that.
I've raised 11 children. It's the only place I get to myself.
Yeah, no. And anyone with pets probably feels that deeply as well.
Yeah.
Well, very cool, guys. Trouble with Tessa. And it's available on all the different platforms. And again, we have a link for it on today's program guide. When season 2 hits, you got to come back on. Let me know about it. I will gladly fly myself there.
Yeah, you'll be in it.
Yeah, you'll be in it. You'll have to promote it.
Yeah.
I'm down with it. You just say the word. You joke. I actually had a crime author who did novels, Christy Bellacamino, on the show once, and I go, a really good, helpful hand for this detective would be like a know-it-all radio host, and she put me in the book. So
that's awesome, dude. That's awesome. That's awesome.
It's
no
just
pressure.
Actual
friends of mine, no pressure.
I mean, look. We have to have now. I think we have to write one.
Now all I want to do is put Dave in the show.
As you should. Let me see it.
Pictures.
I'm just gonna all of my tens of fans that are watching right now. If you would like to donate to see me on their next series,
yes,
all you need to do is send me the money, and I'm probably going to share part of it with them.
He promises.
Yeah, just go right in, in the YouTube channel, just make some donations, random amounts, 200, 300,000, whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
I don't want to push.
Whatever you find in the couch, thousands of that you find in the couch. And look, Dave, last time you forgot to give us the money, and the time before that you also forgot to give it to us, but I trust you this time.
Yeah, this time we believe you.
Yeah, this time is different.
Well, but it's in a long CD. I'm really, so you can when around the 10th anniversary of the Trouble with Tessa, the money will have matured.
That's
and
right.
Then you'll be able to do the special anniversary edition, platinum.
He's being smart about it.
He is. I'm glad that he's also our financial advisor too.
Yeah. Thank God for you.
Thank you, Dave.
Well, thank you guys. Success for both of you. I hope that this series does phenomenal. I loved it. I know everybody else watching it. All of my darklings, go try it. Check it out for yourself. You love this kind of stuff. You tune into this show. You like all of the great people that we introduce. Go check out my friend's program, The Trouble with Tessa. And again, link for it on today's program guide. Stay safe, you two.
Thank you so much, Dave. Thank you. We're very grateful you had us on. Thank you.
Love you guys too. Take care. exciting stuff, right? I love watching friends succeed and put their heart and soul into projects. And Bethany and Dennis are remarkable filmmakers, and they've been doing online content for years. And I've been watching them grow and their stuff, and they're so funny. They're so good. But this is a really serious program that I think you guys are going to absolutely love. Now, I want to turn things a little bit more serious for the remainder of tonight's show. You know, I love this field. I love. What do you love about this, Dave? What about the paranormal? It's always the history. It's the fact that I get to walk in the footprints of history, to be there, to be steeped in these legendary areas where so many remarkable things happen, so many tragic things happen, and I'm able to be there to be part of this history, even in the most minute way. And sometimes you get wind of change, of things going on, and the fact that we've lost so many remarkable sites and historic sites that get turned into malls or parking ramps or elder care facilities in the middle of a haunted battlefield. Not a great plan, but I guess it's a plan nonetheless. So I love to help when there are groups in need of more exposure. And the Cabin on 360, I've known about this for quite a long time, and I feel ashamed that I still haven't had a chance to get out to Virginia to see it, but I'm changing that. And I challenge all of you to change and go see this as well, because it is remarkable. The history is fascinating, and this is not something that needs to be bulldozed and forgotten. This is a location and a place in history that should be remembered in perpetuity. And Dennis Estlock is going to join us right now on the program to give us some insights and some of the stories and histories. And Dennis, let's start off with the very real reality of what's going on. And I know it's tough. I know you're.
It was so touching the way you introed it, man.
Well, I want to see places succeed, and I don't want to see us lose these type of things. So I'm passionate about this. What's going on? Give us a little bit of insight as to the current state of the state.
And so, one, thanks for having me on, Dave. I truly appreciate it. But what's going on is I've got 7 acres of battlefield from the battles of Bethesda Church. Now, for those that are researchers or historians or even study the
I'm going to need you to move your microphone out just a little bit because we're getting some brushing, and I want to make sure I can hear you.
I told you we'd have that. See, I got to keep mine trimmed and beautiful like yours.
Yes.
But so the battles at Bethesda Church, we sit 3.1 miles away from Cold Harbor. Now, if you're familiar with the Civil War, Cold Harbor was the deadliest battle per capita of the entire Civil War. It exceeded an 80% death rate. And all of that started on this piece of dirt that this log cabin sits on. And it's the battles of Bethesda Church. I've got a body count of over 2,000, either on or immediate proximity to this piece of land.
Wow.
And right now, a 1/10 of a mile away, they're building a brand new elementary school. And about 2 miles away, they're building the brand new high school, and behind it, the new library, and behind that, the new junior high. And I'm trying my best to keep a bulldozer from starting in the front yard and stopping in the backyard. I not only have the log cabin, I've got a little brick rancher next door with its own tragedy of a 12-year-old girl that was unalived by her half-brother in the home. And, this battlefield, we think we have battlefield burials. We know 5 Confederate companies had natives fighting alongside of them. And in the middle of 7 acres, I've got yucca plants that aren't even native to Virginia growing. And that was what the natives would use if you fell in battle. They would roll your body over, dig a hole, roll you back in where you fell in battle, and throw yucca root on your body and bury you on the battlefield. Now, obviously, GPR, ground penetrating radar, has not been done. It's costly.
Right.
And we're just on a shoestring trying to keep the property as it is for right now. But, developers want this piece of dirt, and they want to put a car wash or a vape shop or God knows what.
No.
And
Dennis,
I want to see.
When you've got a place that's steeped in this history where thousands fell and many bodies remain, why is this not a historic heritage site where they're preserving this? it seems to me that's a no-brainer. This is something that shouldn't be forgotten about, and something that should be used, especially you've got 2 to 3 schools in the area. This should be a national landmark where people can come, learn about history, and see the living history of the spirits that still act and interact there.
So the problem is it's owned by a construction and realty company. I hold lease on it so I can set bank records and get time going, and then be able to get small business administration to work with me to buy the property. But the trouble is it's owned by a construction and realty firm. You know what their bottom line is? It is not history. Their bottom line is what's green, and it's not going to get preserved. If once I take ownership of it, if I'm blessed enough to get support and be able to do that, once I take ownership, I've already spoken with American Battlefield Trust. And one of the things that they want to do is help me set GPR in place, help me get LiDAR in place, and then help me get an easement and protect this for perpetuity. So it is always just a battlefield. I've got a handful of volunteers that are just mind-blowingly dedicated to this project. And we went into the wooded area, we cleared out a large area. So the young lady that was, whose life was sadly ended there, she was carried 75 to 100 yards into the woods behind the house. And we've cleared out a large area. We're going to put a memorial garden basically for Melissa. Beautiful. And there will be, I've got dozens and dozens of friends. I think I saw one in here. I'm not sure if he's here or not, but they do reenactments, and I've got dozens of friends. Like there's a place not far from us called Pamplin Historical Park, and it's 424 acres of battlefield. So they have some magnificent contacts, and they want to help with erecting a memorial to all the soldiers that lost their lives on this property or in very close proximity to it. So I've got a lot of things in the works. I just have to beat the deadline of losing it to the developers.
Is there a place people can make donations to help you so that you can acquire this property?
There is. Unfortunately, I can't put anything in the chat. Let me see if I can do it in the private.
Well, I'll put it in the show notes so that people listening and watching can find it. But there is a donation site.
There is. We've got a GoFundMe set up. And I'll tell you, when you look at the GoFundMe, you're like, oh my God, it's a money grab. All right. Well, I'm asking for, my goal is to get $100,000. That is less than 1/4 of the total purchase price of this land. So I'm going to absorb the biggest majority of the overhead, the biggest majority of the long-term cost. I just need enough to walk into a bank and go, all right, you greedy SOBs, here's a big chunk of change. Play with me. Get me what I need. And that's what I'm after. You know, we're doing charity events out of the properties. Both properties, of course, both buildings and the 7 acres of battlefield are all paranormally active, incredibly so. And, you know, we do events out there. We do fundraisers there for cancer patients and community events, you know, to help our community. And now we're in help, and I'm kind of at wit's end. You know what I mean?
I do. And when you spoke to me about that at the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash, where it is a place where it is about charity, many different organizations are helped. Wounded Warriors, our friend Chris Maggard, who's dealing with cancer, we helped raise money for him at this past event. Children that are dealing with life-threatening illnesses, we raised money for that. And to hear your story, it really touched my heart. We're going to take just a quick break. Again, I will add a link for the GoFundMe on today's program guide. And whether you're watching it live or watching the replay, it'll be there for you. For those of you watching it live, come back within 10 minutes of the show wrap, and I'll make sure that I've added it into the show notes so that you can find it there. We'll be back. We've got more to discuss, and let's start talking about some of the paranormal experiences that have taken place there and continue to take place. We'll do that next, right here on the Paranormal 60.
Oh, are you reading me? Come in. Hello? Greetings from the Shadow, and welcome to Shadow Zine. My name is Jeff Belanger. I'm an author, podcaster, and explorer of the unexplained. For 30 years, I've been investigating the paranormal, UFOs, monsters, and things that bump in the night. Lately, you may have noticed how major TV networks and even social media networks have been pushing our favorite subject back into the shadows. I say good. That's why I launched Shadowzine, a monthly underground publication that covers your favorite topics in depth by some of the leading writers and researchers out there. If you're looking for 30-second TikTok clips, go somewhere else. If you're ready for a deeper dive, put down your phone and pick up Shadowzine. You can't find it in stores. This is old school print. Head to shadowzine.com and be part of the underground revolution. That's shadowzine.com, and I'll see you in the shadow.
Our guest tonight is Dennis, and we're talking about the haunting of Cabin on 360. And before we go too much deeper, because I'm getting some private messages and social media messages wanting to know a little bit more about the more, I guess, recent story of the young girl that's associated with the brick rambler that you also have on property. When you start talking about children's spirits, it really touches the heart of a lot of people, and they're fascinated by that. Can you give us a little bit more, without getting graphic or too much detail, a little bit more of her story and what kind of interactions do you have with her spirit?
Yeah, by all means, I can do all of the above. So what we know is the land was purchased in July of 1978, and the tenants that lived in the brick home in October of 1979 was the Elliott family. They had 12-year-old Melissa, 17-year-old Randy, were half siblings. On the morning of October 4th, after mom and dad left for work, he SA'd her, put two .38 caliber rounds in her chest, and threw her body out her bedroom window. We don't know why. There's speculation. Of course, there's all kinds of story, myth, lore, and legend. I've interviewed the deputies that were on scene that day. I've seen the reports. It's a heartbreaking story. And, I've told countless people, if you ask me if that young lady's still in that house today, I will tell you unequivocally, yes. Hundreds of investigations I've conducted in the home, along with numerous other teams. And one of the most moving ones that I've captured thus far, I was standing in her room. We were doing a fundraiser for a cancer patient. She was one of St. Jude's kids, but Sawyer sadly passed. But while we're doing this investigation, I'm standing in her room with a group of the public, leaned up against her bedroom window and the windowsill, and I'm holding the voice recorder, and I said, "Melissa, are you with us, sweetheart?" And I've got what sounds like a beautiful young lady's voice standing right beside me. It's almost as loud as my own voice on the recorder, just simply says, "I'm with you."
Wow.
I played it back like 3 times. I set the recorder down and I said, "I'll be back, guys. I got to," and I went outside. I had a brief cry. We've investigated there so many times. We've got so many different voices, so much activity and everything else that I've black salted her room to make sure that the other spirits can't go into her room. I've black salted the closet doorway so nothing can come through there. And I've taken this child that I never met. I was 10 years old when this tragedy occurred. And I lived in Ohio, 700 miles away. I had no clue about this until it was brought to my attention. Ryan Jones, who's in the chat, his family, his grandfather actually bought the land. And about 10 years ago, he brought this to my attention that there had been this murder in the house. We didn't know who the victim or perpetrator or anything was. I had spent so much time at the sheriff's office trying to find things. They stopped running me through the magnetometer and just went, "Go on." And then finally, they're like, "What the hell are you actually doing here?" So I told them, and they're like, "Just wait here." And they introduced me to the deputies that had been on scene that day. And it has snowballed from there. We've got EVPs in the woods of soldiers crying for help. We've heard disembodied screams and whistles. We did and you'll love this, Dave, I hope anyway. We did a test one night Now, our woods is very deep. There's 7 acres there, so you can't talk normally from mid-woods, what we call the middle of the woods, to the very back, that we call the way back. So I called Ryan up. He had a group in the middle, and I'm in the very back. And I called him on the phone. And I said, hey, man, I want to try an experiment. So make everybody go silent and hit recorders. Well, after that, we hang up, and I tried battlefield commands. On my mark, fix bayonets. And from mid-woods, Ryan hears a scream and hollered, lets it sit for a few minutes, and then calls me back and he goes, hey, we heard you yell fix bayonets. What'd you yell after that? And I went, I didn't yell anything. You need to check audio, because we didn't hear anything.
Wow.
He picked up audio of somebody yelling charge. So, and I mean, that's how, the soldiers that were on this land were going hand-to-hand combat. It was that, this land was that significant. I mean, General Grant even bivouacked, camped less than 1/10 of a mile from us. He ran Cold Harbor from only a half a mile away.
Wow.
Cold Harbor.
This is all history that shouldn't be forgotten. And these places where these men fell should not just be bulldozed over. That's for sure. I mean,
Definite.
I know that a lot of people think, well, Dave, at what time do we release history? At what, this happened over 200 years ago. But the fact remains that it wasn't just like, somebody was hit by a car and it's a tragedy that happens all the time. This is a historic event where families were pitted against one another and friends, and almost like the current situation in our country now, thankfully not as bloody, but we need to remember these things. We need to see these things so that we don't lose touch with that.
Yeah, it's, not just the individual soldiers. There was one of the journal entries that I found states that this battlefield, it states that a full-on 80% of our commanding officers were lost at this job, at this battle. It was a bloodbath, for lack of better terms, simply because there was so much activity right there. 10th Virginia, 500 members of 10th Virginia were less than 2/10 of a mile away from us, and they're going up. So right across the road, which that new school, the new elementary school I told you about, is being built on top of the foundation of Bethesda Church. That was a Confederate headquarters. So 10th Virginia, 500 members leave that church, and they're headed up to attack the Via House a mile up to our northeast. And they get bogged down in the tail end of what's known as Beaver Dam Creek. It was swampland. Well, that pushed water across the back of our property. Well, 10th Virginia's 500 members get bogged down in that mud, and the Union soldiers are coming in to head off the soldiers at Bethesda Church and go into Cold Harbor, and they just fishbowled them. So 400 members of 10th Virginia never went home, and their blood literally went across the back of our property as part of the swamp. It is, when you gave your description that it's soaked in blood, that is an accurate description. It's not just a beautiful descriptor of hypothetical, it's factual. And I don't think people understand how much these plots of dirt mean to history.
Right. And here's the thing, right? It's not like history went away silently. It remains there. It's demanding to be heard with cries in the night and screams, and still hearing the battle raging on so that we don't forget. Can you imagine, Dennis, kids having their schools built on these properties? High school, grade school, middle school, those are some of the most tense, anxiety-ridden times in our lives. And could you imagine that kind of angst right on top of a bloody battlefield? I don't think I'd be comfortable having my kids go to that school. And I mean, I know schools have to go somewhere, but it's just like, holy cow, to me, that just sounds like a nightmare ready to unfold.
Yeah, I mean, if one of the theories in the paranormal that children going through puberty excites the activity, oh, this place is just ripe for having horrible activity.
It's going to
in
collapse
the
on itself
schools.
like the end of the movie Carrie, right? All this energy
Yeah.
in the school is just going to tremble and crush in and be sucked into the middle of the earth.
Yeah, it's insane what they're doing. They literally they just in the past month they dug the foundation and footings for this brand new elementary school, and it's right in line and on top of Bethesda Church that was a Confederate headquarters. Now the Confederates held it for several days. The Union overran it when the Confederates pushed back to go towards Cold Harbor. But at the same time, it had both sides there. And this piece of land that I'm trying to save, and I saw the comment in here. I can't comment, team, but I saw my misfit toys are here. That's my volunteers. They call themselves the Misfit Toys. I have, and I don't know why it amazes me every day, and I'm so honored. But they have rallied behind me, and you met a few of them at Battlefield Bash, and Rob was hanging out with us and told us that we were probably the best group that he had run into there because we were just so damn fun. I've got a great group, and they're busting their butts, and we're breaking our backs trying to find a way to save this land, and that's why I approached you. I don't know what else to do.
Sybil Winfield asks, have you involved your congressperson?
Right now, I can't involve anybody, honestly, simply because I am not the owner. Even American Battlefield Trust put their hands up and said, hey, until the owner wants us to do something, we can't. So until we get an owner that actually cares about history and not just the bottom line, the green, nobody can help us. So
what kind of price do we look at here? I mean, it's not just about money then, Dennis, right? It's about putting pressure on the current owner that it can't just be about the money, which it's tough because that's what our country's built on, right? Is the freedom to prosper and have our own, ways of life. Do you think that there's a number he would be comfortable with that is not astronomical to which this property could be purchased and bought outright?
Well, I have a purchase price, and given market value, it's not astronomical.
Okay.
It's $425,000. And that's why my GoFundMe is asking for $100,000. I just want enough to get banks to talk to me, and I will carry the rest of that note. I will carry the other $300,000+. I've never been that far in the hole in my life, but I believe that this thing can support itself.
Well, another way to help too, Dennis, right? If you don't want to make a donation, people are like, I know there's a lot of hands out there right now and a lot of people asking. You can help by renting and going out there to do investigations. You guys have one of the most affordable prices I've ever seen. As a matter of fact, I think you may be undercharging for the kind of experience that you're giving people to come see this property. But rent the properties, go out, investigate, go be there, bring your friends, your relatives, make a big day of it, celebrate the lives of those that have lost their lives there, celebrate the history, as bloody as it was. When I say celebrate, I mean to remember, to be a part of this and hold it so that it's not just something dwindling away. And by renting your location, and it's going to take a lot of rentals to get us there, Dennis, but it starts right now.
And that's all I'm asking. I would love to see the Eventbrite, just fly, and that would be great. But if I can get it rented and if I can keep it booked and it can make the money that it has the potential of, the trouble is there's an old saying, and Dave, I'm sure you've heard of it because you're like me, you're old. You gave your age away earlier. By the way, I just celebrated my birthday and you're still older than me. But I love you anyways. It's okay. But if you build a better mousetrap, the world will beat a path to your door.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a wonderful thought, but not if they don't know you have it. And that's what we're trying so hard every day to do. We've got 2 different TikToks. I'm starting the YouTube. We've got the Facebook page. We're just trying to get the notoriety that an amazingly active location deserves. And with the bookings, our booking price, like you said, is very cheap. It's $350 for a Sunday night through Friday night, and $400 for a Saturday night. That gets you both buildings, the full 7 acres of battlefield. They're both heated and aired. I've got high-speed internet in both buildings. I don't know any other place that's like that. And this isn't one of those, come in at 10 o'clock, get your butt out by 2 a.m. You come in at 6:30, 7 o'clock, get checked in and everything, and you don't have to leave till 9 the next morning. That's
Wow.
14 hours for that little bit of money. And that's up to 10 people.
Yeah, that's $35 a head to go do an investigation
Yeah.
and have this place to yourself for 14 hours. This is just so people get an idea. When we film TV programs, a lot of these places will charge thousands for us to have access for a day or two. For you, if I wanted to come in there and rent it for an entire 10-day span, $3,500, right? I mean, that's what it usually costs for us to rent for 1 or 2 nights at a location.
Yeah. And, if you want to come host an event, let's say you want to host 50 guests, I'm going to set a different price, obviously, because we have up to 10 people and it's $50 a head after that. Typically, we'll max at 15. But if you're hosting an event, you show me that you have liability insurance, so it's not all riding on mine.
Right.
And you're still, I won't say who he was, but he did a Friday night and a Saturday night. He wanted 20 guests each night, and I charged him $1,500 for the whole weekend.
Yeah, that's nothing.
And he made bank.
Yeah.
But the property still made money. And that's all I'm after, is just to be able to bank this money, keep the property. I want to be able to walk into the bank and go, all right, you greedy SOBs, here's a wad of cash. Give me a loan for what little bit is left.
All right. We're going to take our final break of the show. We'll come back. We'll talk more with Dennis here. Some of the other strange and unusual hauntings, some of the other full experiences they've had. We'll do that when we return right here to the Paranormal 60.
How are you, Darklings? This is Mark Lanou, innovator, musician, world traveler, and no stranger to the paranormal. Come take a journey with me through this place we call life by picking up my new book, Reality Was Once the Tapestry of the Dreamer. It is available at Barnes & Noble online and will soon be available through other vendors. Get your copy by following the link in this ad or by visiting my official website at markalanlanou.com.
Hey, everybody. There's a chance to come see me this week. I'm excited about it, and I hope you'll come on out. It is the Bowling Green, Kentucky Bigfoot Mini Con. Cryptids, cocktails, and more. It's going to be a full, fun weekend. A lot of fantastic speakers are going to be on hand, including me. How cool is that? Dr. Maria Mayer, Russell Acord from Expedition Bigfoot, and a host of other great guests will be there. So if you are into the cryptid world or would like to break into that and start learning more and learning from the people you love to watch, read, and understand, check out the Bowling Green Bigfoot Mini Con, and that's in Bowling Green, Kentucky, this upcoming weekend. And tickets are ridiculously low priced. You can find more information at darknessevents.com. That's darknessevents.com. For the rest of you, go see the Cabin on 360. As a matter of fact, it may only cost you $350 to rent it for that night, but I'm sure that they'd be happy to get another tip of another $150 to $350 from you and your guests. This is going to go to help preserve this property, get it out there. And I don't mean to keep making this into a telethon, but I can't stress to you guys enough how important it is that we keep places like this. Many of you asked during Holzer Files, Dave, how many cases did you not get to that you could have? And I was like, man, there was a whole subset of amazing historic locations that we wanted to attend. And when we called, we found out that they had been bulldozed 50 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, burned to the ground, raised, and a new building is there now. It's a Dunkin' Donuts. And we've lost so many, you can't even begin to fathom how many amazing historic locations are now gone. And we'll never get the chance to research. We'll never get the chance to go there and communicate with our ancestors and those that fought to preserve dignity on one side of the line and try to understand what it's like to be in a place like this that's still speaking to you on a regular basis. And it is, right, Dennis? You guys have a lot of spiritual activity that takes place constantly.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, we've had everything from residual musket fire, residual cannon fire. We heard a horse and buggy go by on a little gravel road that's beside us. Full-bodied apparitions, shadow figures. I mean, you name it, we've had it. There was a group called the Twisted Paranormal Society, and they had a series on Paraflix called The Twisted Realm. And we were standing in the middle of the woods filming, and there was this scream from about 20 feet away that I can only define or describe as, we've all seen Jurassic Park. Well, this was the pterodactyl in that movie, and it flew by us about 20 feet away.
Wow.
There may or may not have been some F-bombs thrown right after that screech.
Wow.
You know, it was crazy. I had a young lady come down. She was with another team, and they had rented the place for the night. I have a shooting range towards the back area. And she had just bought a new pew that day. And she's like, can we use it? I went, yeah, come on. So we head back there. Well, up towards the front, like I said, there's some yucca plants that we suspect may be burials. One of our team members had set a voice recorder down there. So you hear us back there discharging current weapons. And then when you hear us call weapon clear, you hear a like a double flintlock musket went off. And we're like, holy crap, they're returning fire.
So you were stimulating the environment with the gunfire.
Oh, most definitely.
Jeez.
Most definitely.
Wouldn't it be crazy to be a fly on the wall of history and time that maybe it's nighttime and these poor soldiers are just trying to rest their eyes and they're awoke to the sound of gunfire that they can't figure out where it's coming from because it's echoing in time from Dennis and his friend shooting at the cabin on 360, and they're hearing it. And I say that because there are so many weird time slip style phenomena that take place in historic sites like Gettysburg and Antietam and in Virginia, where, you know, I've been on a battlefield at night when it was still legal to do so and have seen the flashes of light. And I'm not talking about little specks of light from lightning bugs. I mean, flashes of light from musket fire, from guns. We've recorded, I was with some friends and we actually recorded these boom, boom. There's a couple of investigators I've worked with that they would go out and do this paranormal archaeology. They would bring roster lists of men that served in a specific battalion, and they would do roll call and they would get EVP responses. It's really remarkable just how close in history we are to that time. We're not so far removed. It's still there echoing through the chambers.
Yeah, and it's, they're just waiting to tell their story. One of the stories that we found is called The Little Red Cap Boy, and it talks about a 15-year-old Confederate soldier. Their color bearer had been dropped. And as the commanding officer goes down the line, he refers to this long, lanky boy and asks him if he would bear colors. And he describes that the kid said, yes, I will gladly. The kid is quoted as saying, and pardon this, but it's a quote, damn them all to hell. They've killed my brothers. They may as well kill me too. And then the commanding officer says he was permitted to bear colors for a full-on 20 minutes, perhaps out of respect and admiration for his bravery, till they trailed a big gun on him. And the last that could be seen of him as his arms dashed in separate directions and his flesh dashed upon our faces was his little red cap flipping through the air.
Oh.
That's the horrific side of what took place on this land. And that was part of the Battle of Bethesda Church. And those are the men and boys that I want to preserve this land for. We've heard the disembodied screams. We've heard the disembodied cries for help. Ryan Jones, that you see talking in here in the chat, he has an EVP where one of the guests in his group, which was all female, says, "Hey, can you tell us your name?" And there is a voice that responds, "Colin." And I'm like, "Come on, man, that sounds like one of your group members." And he goes, "Well, that could have been, but I had all women."
Wow.
So, they're definitely there. And I think you got to meet them this weekend, like Brandon Johnson, Lyle Lott's Twisted Paranormal, Haunted Nights Paranormal.
Yeah.
They've done several investigations there, and some of the evidence that they've captured and some of the things that we're trying, like they put out a little encampment and, some of the airport bottles of liquor, airplane bottles and tobacco and things like that, just to elicit activity from the soldiers. And man, it hits every time. In the Brick Rancher, we had Sean Austin was hanging out with us last night doing his live. And bear in mind, the young lady that was murdered there, her name is Melissa. On her headstone, it just has Lisa. And one of my volunteers walked into the building, and you hear this voice screams, "Lissa," on the recorders. And all of us kind of went, was that the door squeak at that moment? So, I'm over there swinging the door back and forth looking like a fool trying to wave out smoke. I can't replicate it. We walked into the building one night, and there was a couple of men talking so close and so loud, we thought people had breached the building. So I went to clear the building, and there was nobody there. But we've had just so much activity on the property. It's insane. We had a team, and this is not even an exaggeration. They drove 9.5 hours from New Hampshire, paid for the full weekend. I gave the history. I gave the tour, told them, turn out the lights and message me Sunday morning when you leave. Nah, no problem. He called me an hour and a half later. They were leaving. And I asked, is everybody okay? Is there a family emergency or something? His response to me was, oh, we're fine. We just weren't ready for this shit. It was that bad for them. And, not every investigation goes that way. As you know, you've been on,
Right.
1 or 3 anyway. Sometimes you get knocked over in the living room.
That's right.
And sometimes you get nothing. And this place has been, it's become a second home. It's become a place where strangers become friends, friends become family, and we stick up for each other. And now we're trying to stick up for those that have been there before us. And, we just want to be able to protect the land. And I know, Sybil, you're saying contact your congressperson and all of those things. All of those take time. And the trouble is I'm pushing time. My lease expires November 1. And if I can't get some headway going, I am not going to be able to continue trying to save this property. I have nosedived my personal credit. I'm just going to put it out on the line. I've dropped my personal credit score about 80 points. I've maxed out my credit cards trying to keep it up and running. I'm at wit's end now. So
we're going to put that GoFundMe account link on this program. And again, this isn't money that's going to go into Dennis's pocket to line it or to get him out of debt. This is going to go to help him try to acquire this property and save it, to keep this property and make it available so that we can continue to go there in reverence and investigate and commune with our past. And that's an important element we cannot forget about. Now, one thing I will mention, we spoke with Dennis. Shane and I took him aside at the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash, and we're desperately trying to work out to see if there's a way that we can do a special episode of Paranormal Mysteries. Although we're wrapped for the season, we would very much like to try to come out there and raise awareness and raise the attention of people to come to this location and save it and do what they can. You can do your part by making donations. You can do your part by going and renting the location and making sure that they're keeping financially fluid with that. there's not much time between now and November 1st, folks. There's not much time. And something big has to happen.
Even if they just share the GoFundMe, even if they just, I don't have like a storefront or anything to sell merch, but,
Right.
sharing helps a great deal just to get the name out there. And I see that, Tabitha, what about having a couple of fests with vendor-led activities just to raise money? We did do one. We had Cabin Con 2025. It was fantastic. We had 20 vendors. We had some guest speakers came out. We had a great time. It didn't raise a whole lot of money because we're not a huge known location.
Right.
And I don't have huge space to set everything up, so it's all, we've had all of these ideas. We're, constantly beating our heads against a tree trying to figure out, how to get it.
And I know there are viewers out there. There are viewers around the world that are coming from all different financial places in their life. Some of you, $5 is more than you can afford. Some of you are looking for investments. You're looking for places and things to do to send money to be a part of something bigger than who you are. And I'm sure that Dennis would be happy to work with anybody that would be interested in investing in this property to save it and continue to keep it going and make sure that it's available for generations to come. Am I speaking out of term here, Dennis, or would you be willing to work with people that want to invest and be a part of this?
No, I would be happy to speak with them. I've had several talk to me about doing a partnership. And here's the funny part about that. Some of them are doing it out of greed, not out of a place of their heart. They're doing it, well, I want, X amount. Usually that's a higher percentage than they're
Right.
willing to put forward.
Sure.
So, but numbers work, then we'll go from there. The main thing is I've got to be able to keep the property owner currently appeased. I've got to keep him paid, and I've got to be able to walk into a bank at the end of my lease term and go, let's talk.
Well, we're going to do our very best to continue to raise the awareness, and hopefully we'll get a chance to come out and film with you in October and get the word out about this as a quick turn documentary to let people know and bring some kind of attention to you a little quicker. So all of you watching, do me a favor, share this episode. Share it with people. Share the information, the GoFundMe. Let them see and hear the stories for themselves. Let them judge. Dennis, thank you so much for the work that you do. Thank you for fighting so hard to save and preserve history.
Man, it's worth every drop of sweat and every drop of blood that we put into this property. So thank you so much for having me on. And, a huge thank you to my little misfit toys that are there in the chat for believing in me and believing in this cause and fighting so hard to share this and save this land. It's well worth it. 2,000 men shed their blood on this land or in very close proximity to it. Their name shouldn't be in vain. Their death shouldn't be in vain. So we're trying everything we can to keep this thing.
Agreed. Thank you so much. Thank you all for tuning in, hearing our story, and giving us a chance to share this with you. Places like the cabin on 360 aren't just haunted. They're haunted for a reason. The energy, the echoes, the emotions, they linger, tethered to the ground, waiting for someone to listen. And thanks to passionate caretakers like Dennis Estlock, the voices of the past are still being heard. But if we allow places like this to be raised for concrete and condos, we don't just lose a structure. We lose a story. We lose the soul of America. It's the paranormal that teaches us. And if it teaches us anything, it's that the past is never really gone unless we let it be. So may the darkness of this world be just a little lighter with the information we share here each week. And please open your hearts, open your minds, and open your wallets and see if you can make a difference. We'll put up that GoFundMe for Dennis Estlock and the haunting of Cabin on 360, and you can be a part of the change. Thank you, my darklings. I'll be back again with you next Monday. And Chad Lewis will be joining us for another extraordinary episode of the Paranormal 60.